Welcome everyone to another Lessons Learned episode. Today we are pleased to have with us returning author Thomas Doonan, who's going to share a fourth lesson. He's been on several of these broadcasts in the last several weeks. My name is Vincent Veza. I'm an author. I'm the founder of Hidden Treasure Novels, the regional representative for the North Carolina Writers Network Metro North chapter. Thomas had that position not too long ago. He led our chapter to many successful meetings, and now he is writing with passion, and he's going to share with you some lessons today about that passion and what it means to you as a writer. Thomas, the stage is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Vince, and thank you to all that are watching, taking a few minutes this afternoon or this evening to listen to lesson number 4 that I've titled Write with Passion. You might think I'm talking about the way I want you to write. I'm talking here today about the passion I want you to give to your characters. We want your characters to come alive. They can come alive they can be loved, they can be hated, or maybe they're mysterious, but there has to be some passion in the characters, your lead characters, that gives the reader of your novel a reason to continue reading. If the characters aren't interesting people, whether it's love, hate, or mystery, or whatever it happens to be, they're not going to want to read your book any further. I sort of thought of the analogy, if you had a 360-page novel and your characters didn't have the kind of passion that they really should, it might be like eating runny scrambled eggs with white bread for 365 days in a row. Unlikely you'd get that far. So a little bit of an analogy why you need passion and not just runny eggs and white bread. Probably 4 different techniques you can use to give your characters passion. You want to give them a physical description. That's certainly a starter. The dialogue, the dialogue goes, the way they talk back and forth in your novel. 3, the action that sort of controls the movement of the characters. And finally, character traits, which are emotions. What I'd like to do in the next minute or 2 is just talk about the first and third, talk about the first and fourth, physical description and the character traits. Physical description is pretty easy, but it's also pretty important. We talk about what's the body height, what's their hair, what's their build, what are their tattoos. They need some kind of physical description. Then they're going to have facial expressions. Are they going to look surprised or maybe a little bit curious? You can use hand gestures, hands, arms, legs, feet, to give your characters intensity. You could have the character obviously tapping their foot in the ground, but you wouldn't want to have 2 separate characters nervously tapping their feet. That might seem a little bit contrite or contrived, unless maybe they were identical twins. You can use body language, shoulders erect or slumping down in a chair, the way they sit, the way they turn their head. You could turn quickly to the right, or what would it mean if you slowly turn that head to the left and eyebrows down, maybe sort of a look of contempt. So physical descriptions are important. I would probably suggest start with some core descriptions. You don't have to launch everything on one page and describe your character in one paragraph. Launch some core descriptions of your character, and then at appropriate points as your novel progresses, unleash the rest of them. But be consistent. So that's physical descriptions. A little talk now about character traits. If you divide, you can have one continuum. There can be a positive aspect to your character, and then there can be a negative, and you sort of go from left to right. The characters' emotions, they can show anger, anguish, happiness, imitation or irritation, nostalgia. They can be satisfied. They can show surprise and empathy. There's scores of books out there that will give you a list of character traits. Pick up 1 or 2 when you're just looking for different ways to describe facial expressions. And there's books that tell you how to describe happiness, not that just the character was happy, but what kind of physical traits does that character use to show that they were happy. You might have hands clapping for happiness. Surprise might be like that. Satisfaction, perhaps like that. Disgust, like that. So there's just like 4 hand gestures there, and use them on yourself, or look in the mirror and use them on yourself in the mirror, and then describe what you see in the mirror and put that in your novel. So you're using sounds and action and dialogue to show these character traits, but be consistent. And I want to look for a couple examples now. I'm going to show a character trait slide, and we're going to read through a couple. So the first slide, Vince, is we're going to have an example. Slides popping up. And I might write, or one of you might write example 1. Hunter congratulated his son on making an A in math. Okay, that's the fact. But let's jazz it up a little bit. Hunter lifted his son high, spinning the second graders atop, congratulating him with a full belly laugh of Santa Claus for making an A. So there we've added action. He lifted his son high. He spun him around. We told you that he was a second grader. And then we added some sound. You hear the full belly laugh of Santa Claus. Certainly makes that description an awful lot more embellished. A second example, Uncle Chad was disappointed his granddaughter would be late for Thanksgiving dinner. But a little bit better, Uncle Chad slammed his fists on the table, rattling plates and silverware when told his granddaughter would be late again for Thanksgiving dinner. So we use the sound of the fist slamming on the table, the rattling of plates and silverware, and that she was late again, not just late, but late again. So it adds, again, some texture to that whole example. But we want to be consistent. A couple examples here. It's with the character traits that you give your characters. It would be unlikely that Alicia would be a laid-back single woman early in your novel, then without explanation, be bar hopping, luring men for dates. The key there is without explanation. If there was a reason why Alicia went from one mood or one kind of person to another, that'd be fine. Second example, characters don't move from being boastful and braggadocious to taking sidelines in an argument. So be consistent with the kind of character traits that they exhibit. And you don't want to confuse your reader by being inconsistent. A little sheet that I actually use quite often is a character sketch sheet. And you can develop your own. You can use this one or any number that you can download from the net. But see, main information, physical, life details, and what we're talking about there on the right is personality, their general disposition, strengths and weaknesses. Really helpful on your main characters and your secondary characters to at least start a sheet like this before you start writing. You're not going to have them totally filled out. Any novel, the character evolves. Situations will develop you hadn't thought of when you put your first "the" on a sheet of paper. And then as that character evolves and they get new strengths or weaknesses, add them to the personality sheet so that their character on page 9 fits with what you write on page 159. In summary, in terms of writing with passion and injecting passion into your characters, inject personality. It's love, hate, or any number of other personality traits. Then you've got physical description. Understand the physical description of your character, and where important, unleash that, on your reader. Then they've got character traits. Are they a person, they plan a lot? Are they impulsive? Or do they like to smile? Are they angry? Then show the traits. Don't just say that they've got a certain trait. Use actions and use sounds to show that your character's got certain traits. And finally, sketch your characters. Keep track. A long novel that might take a year to write, you're going to need to be able to go back and double check the certain characters that you've got and the traits that you've given them. And with that, quick little lesson number 4. Thank you for joining me. Lesson 5, hopefully in the next week or so, I've titled Nail the Opening, and we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of the first paragraph. I sort of put it down as it's going to count for double points. And then after that, lesson 6, I'm going to take again a few minutes to describe what it was that brought together my first short story. What were the key elements that gave me the impetus to write that little novel or that story. And just a little bit about Tommy Doonan. On the left and center is my first short story, a paranormal love story called A Quest for Love, and then a farcical short story called A Waiting Room Frenzy. And then I'm finishing up now my first full-length novel, Shadowed by Fear, which is a coming-of-age novel with a paranormal twist of a young teenage woman. And thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Vince, for hosting me today.
Well, thank you, Tom. This has been very, very instructive. All your lessons are. We so hope that our viewers will reach out to us at hiddentreasurenovels.com and that they'll continue the journey with us and continue to learn lessons learned from you and other authors in our tribe. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating today. Thomas, thank you. We really appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you all next week, same time, same station, 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, Eastern Time. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Vince.